Hi everyone, Richard here at Calvin Wazoo with another video for you. And it's about time, I suspect, for many of you, because it's now time for me to do my review of car seat headrest, making a door less open. Been promising this for a long time. And, I'm not going to make any excuses as to why it was taking so long. So let's get, and then I dropped the download card as I'm checking things out here. So yeah, let's get started with this. It was released in May of 2020. And the title is curious, in my opinion. Making a door less open. So in some respects, the title could be a reference to Will Toledo closing the door just a little more to the outside world, to not letting the outside world into him as much, into his life as much. And because, when we think of the songs especially from Twin Fantasy and Nervous Young Man and How to Leave Town, and to some degree, Teens of Denial, we're getting very personal songs that have an origin that can be directly traced to Will and his life. Often, admittedly so, that he will talk about these things. And even if the songs are about or are of a third person nature, they are drawn from very much so his personal experiences. Now, with Making a Door Less Open, which is also referred to as Madlow, which is kind of another curious. I don't think it's just simply a moniker made from the letters in the words in the title, but we're not so much getting a direct personal link maybe to things, although the songs are still very, very personal and arise from his observations and experiences, at various times. And the also we're getting a slight shift, not just in production value. I mean, we've gone now from very, very lo-fi from the numbered releases, now to some things that is much more highly produced and polished, which in some respects is expected because, he's signed with Matador Records. But, as it states here in the album, this was mastered by Bernie Grundman. All right, so, there were some very, very influential people in the music industry that were involved in this album, So, although it's worth noting that Andrew Katz played a very significant role in the production and mixing of this record as well. So, you look at the artwork, and Kate Wirtz did the artwork. This is the inside of the gatefold. We get something, very dark and moody being expressed here with the artwork. I mean, if we look at the cover, we've got this little inset of this folding chair, this street light on a dark street, very, very impressionistic in its appearance. There is the inner sleeve that comes with the record, the same thing. Here we have this white box that is boxing in this completely black area. We've got the these others, you know, that could be city scenes, a cityscape, you know, with that. And then even the lyric sheet, we again get the, you know, this little inset with the folding chairs. There's the smoking cigarette on the table. And then, you know, the lyrics here. The particular issue that I have is the one that was on the colored vinyl. You know, and then even the label, we see this fence, okay? Again, this kind of, you know, cutting things off to some degree. On the other label, of course, we still have the, you know, the chairs, the empty chairs, and the smoldering cigarette on the table in between them. So there's that curious notion about the title, the making the door making the door less open. Now, also, we're getting a musical transition and change in timbre for the most part with this. This is a quote from Will, which you can find on Bandcamp, and it's taken from, you know, other interviews. He says, quote, "Each track is the result of an intense battle to bring out its natural colors and transform it into a complete work. The songs contain elements of EDM, electronic dance music, hip-hop, futurism, doo-wop, soul, and of course, rock and roll. But underneath all these things, I think there may be folk songs, because they can be played and sung in many different ways. And they're about things that are important to a lot of people. Anger with society, sickness, loneliness, love. The way this album plays out is just our own interpretation of the tracks, with Andrew, Ethan, and I forming a sort of choir of contrasting natures." So, excuse me, I just got over being sick, so I apologize if I clear my throat from time to time. The album, the songs do have, with the new production, there is what I call a sterile quality to them. This sterile feel, because all the aspects of the lo-fi sound have pretty much been scrubbed from the music. And then there's a lot more freedom and allowance given to the expression of electronic forms of music. And so they come forward. But despite that, kind of like what he said in that quote, but underneath all these things, I think there may be folk songs. And that's there, that they're at the core of the songs. The songs are really, again, just magnificently written and put together. And they're done in such a fashion that they could be played live in a wide variety of ways. So the songs are really, really flexible, in my opinion, in both their structure and also in the musical composition, which was something that Will has said in other interviews, that as they began to play more live together, he began to realize that, sometimes sweeping epic songs are difficult to reproduce in a live venue. And so the songs become a little more compact, but they're structured in a way that at any time, as the band feels, they can blow out into a very, grandiose expression of the music. So the songs are really, really good in that respect. Now, this is also the time that Will Toledo started wearing the mask. And one of the things that he said, this is a quote from him, he gave two reasons about why he started wearing the mask. One, I still get nervous being on stage with everyone looking at me. If everyone is looking at the mask instead, then it feels like we're all looking at the same thing, and that is more honest to me. Okay, so that's his expression, his his response to why he started wearing this dog-like face mask. Then two, music should be about enjoying yourself, especially live music. And I think this costume as a way to think of this costume as a way to remind myself and everyone else to have some fun with it. Okay, so I can understand that. Now, in March, he's playing two shows here in Chicago at the Vic Theater, and I've got tickets to go to both shows. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I've never seen him live to begin with. I've never seen the band live to begin with, but it'll be interesting to see, how it sounds while he's, he must have had a lot of money spent on this mask so that he could perform while wearing it. The other interesting thing is this side thing that the band has got going called One Trait Danger. And I've listened to some of that material, and it's quite comical, quite hilarious, and it kind of reminds me of that period in Frank Zappa's music when it was the Flo and Eddie years, where the music was, and the songs and the lyrics were very campy. Not that really ever disappeared from Frank's material. But yeah, the Flo and Eddie years, this One Trait Danger, and then Trait, I believe, is the persona that Will, adopts. It's kind of interesting with that. So with that, kind of in the background, we'll go into now the record itself. And the opening track, and the oldest track, I believe, on the record is Weightlifters. Will has said that this is the oldest song. And when I first listened to it, I kind of initially took it literally, and that he was talking about, people who go to the gym and etc. and blah, blah, blah. But as I've listened more to it, I now see the metaphorical presentation and content in the song. I really, really love the chorus that says, because I believe that thoughts can change your body. It's all on me if thoughts can change your body. I believe that thoughts can change my body. It dawned on me, your body can change your mind. There is a very keen logic there. And I think that logic and that concept is pervasive throughout the album. And part of the reason I go with that is that, in my perspective, the perspective that I bring to listening to a lot of music comes from my Buddhist practice. And, there's a lot of discussion in Buddhism and then we go back to the film and the series Evangelion, which apparently Will is a big fan of Evangelion. So I've heard. I don't know that for a fact. But that is also another theme throughout that we create not only ourselves, okay, but we also create the world around us. And so if so the world can shape who we are based through our experiences, but we can always throw it back and say, all right, if that's the case, then I have the ability to shape the world around me through the way I interact with that world. So, as he said here, the basic irony of the song is it's projecting this idea of a fresh start. All right, well, which at the end of the series, Evangelion, that was the whole point, the whole thing that Shinji was facing. If he doesn't like the way his life is, he can change it. And, that's the same with all of us. But the person in it is just buffeted by these winds that come from the past, okay? And they come from everybody else. He's kind of helpless, even though there's sort of this ironic expression of taking charge of your body, of your mind. And really the song is just saying it's not that simple. And you've got all this shit that's already going on in your mind and your body, and you're fighting that when you want to take control. All right. So yes, it is. It's if your mind can change your body, then your body can change your mind. I mean, it is circular in that respect, but also it points out that it's difficult. It's a big challenge, and so we've got that, and maybe perhaps that's why the song is called Weightlifters, because you really have to work yourself and get in shape to confront this challenge and effect the type of change you want, because it's not easy. There are a lot of forces around us that conspire against us or appear to conspire against us. All right, so then we go into the song Can't Cool Me Down, which is quite literally about being sick with a fever, and coupled along with Will's performance anxiety. So it's kind of extended into a personal existential crisis, especially with the lines "We're not supposed to be here." Again, the line, "I've only made one mistake in my life." So how many times and how many of us have experienced or faced huge consequences that advance toward us just because of one thing we've done? It's like, my God, my world is falling apart around me. I only did this one thing. But, the whole point is that our actions do have consequences. And if we're not aware of that, if we aren't aware of the potential consequences our actions may create, then they're going to just roll over us. Again, going back to twin fantasy, when the ocean wash open your grave, the ocean wash over your grave. It's going to come, and there's going to be consequences. Excuse me. Now we get into Hollywood, and then, which I do like that song. I do like it. It's not so much a song literally about Hollywood, and in fact, Will explains this in other places, but it's more about how those of us outside of Hollywood perceive it. Okay, so we tend to view Hollywood as this glamorous place, this desirable place to be, but it's also terribly fake, because everything is built upon this fantasy, people's fantasies, and then there's this willingness to exploit that. Will has commented on in particular, Disney films, how the prince always gets his princess and that kind of thing, that the whole catalog of Disney films is built upon that premise of, if you try hard enough, you're gonna get the girl. And it just builds this notion, a very toxic notion, particularly in boys and men. The whole concept of toxic masculinity, so to speak, because very often, when your amorous target expresses go away, they really mean it. They are not just saying that, and because deep down they love you, they mean it. Go away. But we get trained in through Hollywood that persistence pays off. I mean, even in like the series Big Bang Theory, the whole thing with Leonard and Penny, it's a running joke is that he wore her down and she gave, into it. It's really kind of a dangerous message. And Hollywood is filled with these dangerous messages. It's not very, in other respects too, the song is not much different in perspective from Iggy Pop's song Butttown. But it also kind of made me think of the way of Genesis, the release Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Because, in the past, we didn't so much talk about how Hollywood was manufacturing how life is supposed to be, but it was Madison Avenue doing it through advertising, manufacturing this picture of what our lives ought to be, that we're not happy unless, you have this product or, you wear these clothes or you drive this car, something very much from Madison Avenue. So, I get that from that song as well. I really, again, good song. There are parts of it that I go back to that synthesized nature that is a little bit brittle, but the chorus song nonetheless is really, really, really good. Then comes the song, There Must Be More Than Blood. This is such a beautiful song. And it just has this expression of sweeping isolation and loneliness, especially that one can feel when rejected by our family. And the song so beautifully expresses it, especially, with the notion that there must be more than blood that holds us together, because how can something as ephemeral as the wind blow us apart? The song is such a beautiful, beautiful expression of this. My favorite verse in the song is the one that begins with, I was flying on a red eye. Will's voice is so sublime and ethereal. It's just a really, really wonderful song. Now, then we get the song Hymn. And this is such a gut-wrenching song. It's filled with desperation and pleading. It's very short, very simple, but it's like someone who is like throwing themselves down before this altar, knowing that there's something that they must relinquish or give up or let go. But they're paralyzed with this doubt and fear of, what's going to replace whatever this is that they've been clinging to. They're afraid of letting go even the things that cause them pain. And how many of us go through life like that we just can't let go of the ways of thinking, our ways of behaving, or even the people that ultimately we know deep down are causing us pain, but we still cling to it. Really, really, it reminds me of this, it's got this recognition of a complete loss of control, and it reminds me very much of a Buddhist fable, parable, so to speak, or metaphor that refers to the bottom falling out of your bucket. And it's an old Zen story, I believe, about the farmer who is carrying, buckets of water, and then the bottoms fall out of the bucket. And then all the water, of course, falls out of the bucket. It's just absolutely gone. It's just like there are events in our lives that are very much like that, where just everything goes to hell all at once. The bottom of the bucket just falls out completely. And it's like, what the hell happened? But as the metaphor implies, if a bottom of a bucket is rotting and is going to give way and let all the water out, that's something we can observe ahead of time and fix. all right? But we tend to gloss over so many things and not pay attention to so many things. You know, we think we're living, but we're not. We're just being propelled forward by forces that we don't understand. And if we take time to stop and look, we'll begin to see how these forces are acting upon us and how we respond to them. Then we get the song Deadlines, which is really all it is. It's a song about deadlines. The song structure and the melody a little bit reminds me of a Scissor Sisters song, I Can't Decide, which is from the album Tada. But I'm not, you know, they're different. I mean, I'm not saying Will's song is reductive. I'm just kind of hearing, you know, a resemblance with that. I love, you know, how he is saying throughout the song, "Can't get connected." You know, because he's like, the issue in the song is he's struggling with his muse. I mean, he's writing for a record company now that's putting pressure on him, you know, to produce material. You know, I can't imagine what that pressure must be like now, because this was released in, what did I say, 2020, and, you know, it's 2022. You know, what's, you know, it's been a tough year for many people. And so, but when that line in there that keeps getting repeated, "Can't get connected," I thought for the longest time, you know, even though I got the lyrics, you know, in the record, I kept hearing, "I ain't got nothing," you know, which kind of fits in with the whole topic of the song as well. You know, he can't get connected, you know, in terms of creating the song, but he's at the same time, it's kind of like he is saying, "I ain't got nothing," you know, and he's feeling this pressure, and as a result, he's kind of isolating himself. Again, we're talking a little bit about you know, we're making the door less open. And then comes the song Martin, which is this beautiful, tender song that's filled with vulnerability. And it's not about Justin and Martin, these characters from the children's book, Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim. Will has said in other places that that's where the inspiration came from. They're used as this launch pad for the song. And, you know, I began to realize, you know what? I have never watched the film The Secrets of Nim. And I need to do that. I really need to do that. All right, then comes the song that, again, we've got this very simple but haunting song, "What's With You Lately?" And this song, you know, is sung by Ethan Ives. You know, and Will talks about how it was written for him to sing. And while in the commentaries that I've seen, Will has expressed, you know, that it's this abstracted concept of who the voice in the song to whom they are singing, because they seem to be singing at someone who has become so disconnected from the people around them. And, you know, and he's observing how this person has changed. I really kind of feel like he's having Ethan sing to him, sing to Will. This is people singing to Will. You know, that you've changed so much. And, you know, and then the song just finishes, "What's with you lately?" It's in its simplicity and briefness, it's just an amazing song. Life Worth Missing comes up next. And to me, it's just really a simple song about being in love. I really don't have anything else really to say about it. Wonderful song, but very simple. And to me, it is what it is. And then the record finishes with Famous. And this is very synth pop. Again, I go back to structurally, it is a very flexible song. It could be played in any number of styles. And it does close again with the theme of change your mind, reflecting the notion that's presented in in Weightlifters. And, you can change your mind. And now it's just coming to me, the other song, change your mind, change your mind. Change your mind, change your mind. What is that song? Can't think of it right now. I think it's a 70s song. But anyway, you can see that, we've got the opening track in Weightlifters in terms of, contemplating the notion of changing your mind. And then we're closing with that same concept in Famous, that, you can change your mind. So it's creates this, a very keen boundary around everything else, in the record. Change your mind, change your mind. Oh man, it's going to come to me eventually. Oh, yes, it's a Neil Young song. Yes. From Sleeps with Angels. Yes, that's the song it kind of makes me think of. So there you go. Wonderful album. Making a Door Less Open. And again, really, musically, I'm not going to rank this as my favorite song, or favorite release, mostly because, while the music is really good or whatever, it just has this tone quality that is different enough that, I might rank it maybe around my third or fourth favorite album. I mean, I really do love the more lo-fi sounding stuff, like Between Fantasy, Nervous Young Man, How to Leave Town, and even Teens of Denial. Really, really, really like those albums. But when I say that, this one to me is like ranking lower than those other ones, I'm not saying it's a bad record. It's still a great record. It's still a brilliant album. It's just, I just like these others better. So I hope you enjoyed that. It went on more than 30 minutes, and I was hoping to try and keep this limited and shorter in duration. But yeah, we get talking and whatever. So hope you like that. Leave some comments in the Down Under, and will have a link to my car seat headrest playlist, which includes my other videos about car seat headrest, as well as other videos that I have found and material of their performances, and also of interviews with Will Toledo. And as always, to remind you to pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.